Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. Welcome to the Bernabeu, where I hope you can hear me at the moment over the sound of the Arsenal away fans still celebrating. Full time was about 30 minutes ago here, probably 25 minutes or so ago. Look, you can see over there, that's all the Arsenal fans still packed into the Bernabeu, slowly beginning to make their way out. But my word, what a noise they are still making here. It's been an absolutely historic night for Arsenal. 2-1 they've won here, 5-1 on aggregate. They have absolutely smashed Real Madrid. All the talking build up to this game over here was that Arsenal were scared of Madrid. The Real Madrid remontada was gonna happen. It was, everyone spoke about it. The media, the players, they all said they were going to do it. Did they do it? No, they didn't. They went out tamely. Arsenal done them 2-1 on the night, 5-1 on aggregate. Arsenal are in the semi-finals of the Champions League, where they'll play PSG. And Munich is only 2 games away. The Champions League final is only 2 games away from this Arsenal side, who were magnificent tonight. Magnificent in this cauldron. And I can't even describe how loud this was at kickoff, how intimidating it was at kickoff. And Arsenal just stood up to it. They were professional. And they deservedly won. They deservedly won this game on the night. And they absolutely deservedly went through over the 2 legs, as convincing as it gets. 5-1 against the 15 times European champions. Remarkable, as you can probably tell by the way I'm just rambling at the moment. Just honestly, as an Arsenal fan, take my journalist hat off. As an Arsenal fan, it's one of the most special nights I've ever had watching Arsenal. To come here to this stadium, to stand up to what Real Madrid had to offer, to stand up to the atmosphere, to not wilt, to play their own game, to come through, to miss a penalty in the first half, respond from that, and still go on and win the game. For Bukayo Saka to do what he did in the second half after missing the Panenka attempt so tamely with that penalty, his head must have been scrambled, and yet in the second half he still runs through. What did he do? He chips it over the advancing Thibaut Courtois to give Arsenal the lead. Just sums up Bukayo Saka. It sums up how fearless Arsenal were over the 2 legs against this Real Madrid side. Yeah, this was a coming of age night, a coming of age 2 games for Arsenal. It really was. Just looking down below me, I think that's Ethan Nwaneri has just come out. Yeah, it is Ethan Nwaneri, as you can probably hear from the away fans who are chanting his name. He's come out to do a bit of a warm down, even though he didn't get on the pitch. And he's getting serenaded by the Arsenal away fans who have just serenaded Martin Keown down on the pitch. So he's still doing his commentary for TNT Sports down there. Just a really, really special night. As I was saying, as an Arsenal fan, I've not enjoyed many nights as good as this. To come to this stadium and to win the way they did, it was just a fantastic performance from Arsenal. Real Madrid were poor. I have to say they were poor. They just didn't really have much to offer, this Arsenal side. The only way they scored tonight was after a defensive mistake from William Saliba, who barely put a foot wrong aside from that. But it never really looked like scoring. There was no barrage, there was no Alamo, no great comeback, which everyone was expecting. Whether that was because Arsenal were just so solid defensively, and they were, the back four, all of them were fantastic. And Real Madrid just couldn't get any sort of momentum going. And it was just a fabulous performance from Arsenal. As I said, the first half, they started well. I thought they started very, very brightly. They worked the ball out to Bukayo Saka at times on the right-hand side. He was giving David Alaba real trouble. Awful tackle from Alaba. Got a yellow card on Bukayo Saka early doors, and that kind of set the tone for the opening sort of 10, 15 minutes. And then that ultimately led to Arsenal getting a penalty via VAR for a pullback from Asensio on Mikel Merino. And you thought at that point, score the goal, quieten the crowd down. It would have been the perfect moment to do it for Arsenal, but they didn't. We saw what Bukayo did. I'm so surprised he tried that. I've never seen him take a Panenka before in my life. I hope I never see him take one again after that. That penalty miss came 2 years to the day since his last penalty miss for Arsenal in that game against West Ham a couple of years back. And that did sort of change the momentum of the game a little bit after that point. I thought Madrid sort of got a bit of head of steam going. Arsenal I think they just sort of struggled to get their heads together a little bit after that penalty miss. Bukayo Saka went a little bit quiet, and then Madrid got the penalty themselves for a supposed pullback from Declan Rice on Kylian Mbappe. I haven't seen it yet because there's no replays up here. For this amazing stadium, and it is an amazing stadium, they've built this whole new place and they haven't put screens in the press box, so we can't see replays. But he was given for a judged foul by Declan Rice on Kylian Mbappe, but after a really long VAR check, the referee cancelled the decision. Declan Rice, who had been booked for it, got the yellow card wiped out, which meant that he was not going to be suspended for the semi-final as well. And that, again, when Saka's miss sort of sucked the life out of Arsenal a little bit, I thought that miss sucked the life out of Real Madrid a little bit. And Arsenal got through to half-time relatively comfortably. Jurien Timber's out now, as you can probably hear. This is those away fans still. I'm going to stop talking, just listen to it. Listen to it. Oh, what a night it's going to be in Madrid for those Arsenal away fans when they do get let out of this stadium. They were magnificent tonight. As good as the team were, they were brilliant as well, the away fans. Absolutely superb. And Timber, who's come down to do his media duties, just one of Arsenal's star performers. As I said, I thought the defenders were very, very good throughout the game. Kept Real Madrid really, really quiet. The second half, Arsenal, you could sense in the second half that Arsenal really began to believe that Real Madrid had run out of ideas a little bit. They started progressing the ball through midfield more. Declan Rice was colossal, by the way. We'll get to the player ratings in a little bit. Started striving through the midfield, and you could just see Arsenal were growing in confidence. They felt that Madrid were there for the taking, and then bang, they struck, they got the goal. As I said, delicious finish from Bukayo Saka, delicious from him. Saka at the Bernabeu, it just had a perfect ring to it, doesn't it? And it was a wonderful finish with a brilliant ball through from Mikel Merino, I think. And 1-0, and you felt at that point, I think it was about 25 minutes to go, and like done and dusted. You know, Arsenal had been playing so well, done and dusted, but then they shot themselves in the foot a little bit just a couple of minutes later. Saliba had been colossal on the night, just got caught napping on the edge of his box by Vinicius. Raya was out of position because Raya had passed Saliba the ball, as Arsenal always do when they try and play out from the back. Vinicius robbed Saliba and just sort of put the ball into an empty net, and suddenly it was 1-1 with 20 minutes to go, and the home fans were up again, and they started to believe maybe there was some sort of comeback on, and obviously you started to fear the worst from an Arsenal point of view. But there was no big comeback in that last 20 minutes. There was no Alamo. There was no, just wave after wave of Madrid attack, which I think we all thought was going to come, because Arsenal just stood up to it. They almost invited it. They were like, all right, come on, then show us what you got. And fair play to that defence, because they took everything that Madrid had and just comfortably saw them off. This is like a little pat on the head most of the time, like, there, nice attack, boys, and we're just going to take the ball off you. And that's how they were all game. It was just absolutely fabulous from that defence. And then you get the crowning moment, the brilliant bit. Mikel Arteta's coming out again. Listen. So good. Oh, they're gonna have such a good night tonight in Madrid. They really, really are. So yeah, I can't even remember what I've been saying. I'm sorry, I've totally rambled on this show. It's not my usual type of show. I wanted to do it from here because I wanted some of you to sort of get a sense of what the atmosphere was like after the full-time whistle. So I've done it completely different. I've just rambled, but if this isn't the time to ramble, then when is? When is the time to ramble? And I think I'd got to the point where after Arsenal had sort of shut down Madrid after that equaliser, they then raced away late on. It was just the crowning moment. Gabriel Martinelli racing through again from a Merino assist in injury time, slots the ball past Courtois. Cue wild celebrations in the away end, wild celebrations on the pitch down here by the corner flag. Just remarkable stuff from Arsenal. Absolutely remarkable. Like I said, Mikel Arteta's down there right now doing his post-game analysis with TNT. We'll do the press conference soon after that. It'll be interesting to see him, and he must be so proud. So proud. This is the greatest night of his managerial career, no doubt about it. Coming to the home of Real Madrid, the 15-time champions, as a Spaniard, as a Barcelona man, knocking them out. It's the greatest moment of his career. And it's been a really tough season for Arsenal in the league, hasn't it? It really has. It's not been that enjoyable when it comes to the Premier League. But in the Champions League, they've been nothing short of magnificent the whole way through this tournament, in the league phase, in the knockout phase so far. Now they're deservedly in the semi-final, and they're just 2 games away from a potential final in Munich. Against either Barcelona or Inter Milan. I think Inter Milan were going through last time I looked against Bayern Munich. Tonight, I'm losing my voice now, lads. I'm absolutely losing my voice now. It's what a remarkable night it's been. Right, I'm going to do some player ratings now. Okay, we'll start with David Raya, who you'd expect David Raya to have had to make save after save tonight, didn't you? When you come in here before the game, you thought he's going to be busy, really, really busy. It just wasn't the case. He played very well. I thought he claimed the ball superbly. His passing was good. Every cross that came in, as we've seen all season, he was there to gather it. Fantastic stuff from David Raya. But he just didn't have much to do shots wise. Let me have a look at what the stats were. Last time I looked in terms of how many shots Real Madrid had on target. Let's see if I can just get it up here. But it can't have been many at all. Let's have a look. Real Madrid shots on target. They had 3 shots on target, and they were really, really soft as well on the whole night. 3 shots on target. So David Raya didn't have much to do save-wise, but yeah, I gave David Raya an 8 anyway. I've given the whole defence an 8, basically. I would have given Saliba a 9, but for his mistake, but that led to the equaliser. But on the whole, I thought Saliba was magnificent on the night. But Kivior as well, we've got to give Kivior his flowers. He's coming to the side. Everyone feared when Gabriel got his injury, ahead of the game against Real Madrid. Kivior coming in, what was he going to be like? What sort of, could he stand up to it? Boy, has he stood up to it over these 2 legs. Magnificent alongside Saliba. So I gave the pair of those 2 centre-backs an 8. Saliba, like I said, would have got a 9. I had to knock a mark off for the mistake that led to the goal. Timber, what more can you say about Duran Timber? Colossal, brilliant. What a player. Gave him an 8. Miles Lewis-Skelly, thriving, absolutely thriving. Right towards the end at 1-1, still taking the ball out from defence, racing through the midfield, brushing players off with his strength, with his physicality. Magnificent from the teenager. So I gave all 4 of those an 8. In midfield, I thought Thomas Partey was excellent. Got a really, really, really silly booking right at the end with about 3 minutes to go. He got involved in something with Dani Ceballos and shoved him and got a booking, which is really costly because he's going to miss the first leg of the semi-final now. He's suspended for that, Thomas Partey. And with Jorginho obviously injured as well, that's going to be a problem for Arsenal because it's probably going to mean Declan Rice is going to have to go into the 6th role, which means you're going to have to rejig your midfield a little bit, maybe play Marino as the left 8 in that game. So it was really silly from Thomas right at the end to get sucked into something like that when the tie was already won. So he'll be really disappointed. But in terms of his performance, I thought he was excellent, Thomas Partey, just like he was in the first leg. Tidied up in front of the defence, moved the ball well, was fit, driving forward when he could. Really good from Thomas Partey. I gave him an 8. Declan Rice, colossal. There's no other word to describe Declan Rice's performance. He was up against Jude Bellingham, obviously, the England midfielder versus England midfielder. And over the 2 legs, only one player has come out on top, and that's Declan Rice. Fabulous, colossal, absolutely everywhere. This was a performance from the ages for Declan Rice. £100 million, absolute bargain. Money well spent from a fabulous footballer who's had a tough first half of the season after the Euros. But in the second half of the season has just stepped up and has hit the heights that we saw from him every single week last week. And on the biggest stage of them all here at the Bernabeu, he produced a performance like that, which was just absolutely incredible for him. Man of the match by a distance. Man of the match, man of the tie by a distance. Declan Rice, 10 out of 10 in the first leg, 9 out of 10 tonight. Absolute superstar, Declan Rice. Mikel Merino, I gave an 8, 2 assists from Mikel Merino. I gave Martin Odegaard. I've missed out on Merino. I gave Martin Odegaard a 6. Mikel Arteta has just finished his interview now. He's getting applauded off by the Arsenal fans as he head back down the tunnel. Martin Odegaard, I gave 6. He was really struggling in the first half, Martin Odegaard. It was a really poor performance. Nothing was working from him. Arsenal attacks were breaking down because of it. I was getting really worried, thinking Mikel's going to have to take him off here. He didn't. And to be fair to Odegaard, he proved a lot after the second half. I thought he had a good second half, Martin Odegaard, which hopefully will give his confidence, which is clearly lacking at the moment, a little bit of a boost. So I gave Martin Odegaard a 6. Bukayo Saka gets an 8 from me. No, he gets a 7 from me. Sorry, Bukayo Saka. Obviously, poor penalty miss. Again, I don't know what he was trying when it came to that Panenka, and I thought that affected him for the rest of the first half. The second half, I thought he was really, really good. Brilliant goal, brilliant finish to open the scoring. Ran himself into the ground. He could barely walk when he was replaced by Leandro Trossard with about 15 minutes to go. So Bukayo Saka gets a 7. Mikel Merino, I gave an 8. Just tireless performance from him. 2 assists as well. Nothing really happened from him in front of goal tonight, but 2 brilliant assists. The first one, especially for Saka, was really, really good. And he just deserves so much credit for Mikel Merino for what he's done in the last few months, having been moved into the forward line. So he gets an 8. Gabriel Martinelli was getting a lot of space, and Arsenal weren't giving him the ball enough, I didn't think, in the first half and in the second half. But when they finally did do that in the second half, late on, he just raced clear. He just, put on the afterburners. The way he went one-on-one with Thibaut Courtois, at times you sort of question Martinelli's finishing. Will he get his head up? Can he pick his spot? Absolutely did that. It was just a lovely, lovely finish from him to put the gloss on a special night here. So I gave Martinelli a 7 out of 10. 3 subs came on in injury time. I think that was Zinchenko, White, and Tierney. Trossard had come on for the longest of all the subs. He got about 15 minutes, but at that time they're just trying to see the game out. So I'm not going to give any of the substitutes rating. In terms of Mikel Arteta, I've given him an 8 out of 10. Look, he'll be so proud. And again, we'll hear what he's got to say in his press conference soon. But he'll be so proud of what his team and his players delivered tonight. And also over the 2 legs. To win the way they did in North London in such convincing style and to give themselves this advantage, but then to come here amid all the talk of comebacks and how Arsenal might crumble amid the atmosphere here, to come here to stand up the way they did. He had them drilled perfectly and set up perfectly to deal with it. I think, and his players rewarded him with just a brilliant performance that he'll be so proud. I know, well, I'm sure he's already said that down on the TV cameras down below, and he'll say it again in the press conference. I gave Mikel Arteta an 8 out of 10. It's like, where do you go from this now for Arsenal? This was the highest of the highs, but we've got to remember it is only the quarter-final. Nothing's been won. You've got a huge semi-final to come now for Arsenal against probably the most informed team. Well, not even probably, the most informed team, you would say, in the whole of Europe, alongside Barcelona and PSG, who have shown in their games against Liverpool and Aston Villa how strong they can be. But Villa also showed that they are fallible. They can be got at. They can concede goals. And Arsenal, of course, beat PSG very comfortably earlier in the season, albeit a very different PSG to the one we'll probably face over 2 legs in the next few weeks. But so you've got 2 games now to get to the final, to get to Munich. It's within touching distance. It's been last year was the Champions League quarter-final. At this stage, we sat here in Munich and just said Arsenal couldn't get themselves over the line. They've not just got themselves over the line this year against the toughest of opponents. They've absolutely leapt over the line to win in the most thrilling style, the most sensational style, the most special style, historic style. It is only the 3rd time in our history that we've reached the Champions League semi-finals. And enjoy it. Enjoy all the celebrations. Enjoy all the content that everyone's going to provide over the next few days. Soak it in, because nights like this, victories like this, they just don't happen every day. They really don't. So enjoy it. It's been very special. As I said, one of the most special nights I've had covering Arsenal or watching Arsenal as a fan. Those fans over there are going to go home or go to their hotels now. Well, they might not even get to their hotels. They're going to go into the streets of Madrid and just have a really special time, and they absolutely deserve it. I'll tell you what, I'm probably going to go and join them, I have to say. So it's finished here at the Bernabeu. 2-1 to Arsenal, 5-1 on aggregate. Arsenal are in the Champions League semi-finals. I'll say that again. Arsenal are in the Champions League semi-finals. They've beaten Real Madrid 5-1 over 2 legs, 2-1 here at the Santiago Bernabeu. Enjoy it, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.